Hey guys and girls, Poker King here, back with another video. This is going to be the second video of this kind of series where I'm in front of the camera talking about Flesh and Blood, and perhaps in the future it's something we can do with other card games, but for now I think we're going to stick for just Fab related content. That is the content that I enjoy doing the most, and it seems to be the content that does better on my YouTube channel. It seems to be the content that is received more favourably than the rest of the card games, which is great to hear because Flesh and Blood is the card game that I'm more passionate about at the moment, and making content for Flesh and Blood is something that I really enjoy doing and something that I enjoy sharing and engaging in. So today we're going to talk about the Fiendel Spring Tunic and why is it such an important and iconic card. So I've talked about this previously in my last video. We touched a little bit about it, and it's a conversation I've had many times with many people entering Flesh and Blood, as well as people that are already in Flesh and Blood. So Fiendel Spring Tunic is one of the most reprinted cards in Flesh and Blood, if not the most reprinted card. It's had variations, first from the Cold Foil in Alpha, you've got the Rainbow Foil in WTR, then you've got Crucible of War, which has got first edition and unlimited non-foil printings. Then you've also got History Pack 1, you've got the white border printing as well as the foreign languages printings, and then you've got the two promo versions, which there is a gold cold foil extended art version as well as a rainbow foil extended art version, which is in the cabinet behind me. So mine's an 8.5 copy. From what I am told, there's less than 175 copies out there. I'm not sure on the numbers for the gold cold foil, but I can imagine that's a lot less because the value of that is significantly more. So if we're talking about the most expensive Fiendel Spring Tunics out there, the top three are going to be the gold cold foil, the extended art rainbow foil, and the cold foil from Alpha WTR. So the second and third ones have switched places recently. From recent sales that I've seen some copies of the rainbow foil extended art sell for more than the cold foil from WTR Alpha. I'm not sure what the absolute announced numbers are for print run for copies, but I believe that there isn't that many copies of the WTR copy either from Alpha WTR. So it's such an iconic card in the card game. The artwork, for instance, is truly beautiful. It's one of my favourite pieces of art in Flesh and Blood, as well as the fact that last time I checked on FabDBNet, it's in 60% of decks on there. So it is generic chest equipment, which means that any hero can use it. And even though all the heroes have got like specific chest that can be used by them, a lot of decks are opting to use the Fiendel Spring Tunic over those because it's generic and because it's a better card as well. There aren't any other chest equipment that is better in the game right now, and that is why so many people use it. So I think the conversation has been also had of where does Spring Tunic fit within the next 5 to 10 years of Flesh and Blood if it continues growing as it does. I think eventually it will be phased out and less decks will use it. I think decks will always use it, but I think heroes will get better equipment. We might get better generic chest equipment as well that maybe fits in well with the game that's always going to be evolving and changing, of course. We don't know what's going to happen within the next 5 years. But I think as a collector's piece and just purely on artwork, it's probably going to be still used by a lot of people, as well as a card that's collected by many. If you think of Flesh and Blood, that is one of the top 3 cards you think of when it comes to mind. It is, and I'm going to put it quite a bold statement for me, that is the first edition base set Charizard of Pokemon, or the Blue Eyes White Dragon from LOB and Yu-Gi-Oh, or the Black Lotus from Alpha Magic the Gathering. Every card game seems to have its iconic card, even though in Pokemon, for instance, Pikachu is the mascot and probably is more favourable within players and collectors. But that first edition base set Charizard commands the price that it does. The Black Lotus and Alpha Magic the Gathering commands the price it does, and the first edition LOB Blue Eyes White Dragon as well. So every card game has its iconic piece, and it doesn't matter if it's playable. that seems to have no effect at all, because the people that are entering the card game at the start, even the first 5 to 10 years, if they can get a copy of Fiendar Spring Tunic, whether they buy it, they trade for it, or they pull it themselves, that is a card that is cemented in their memories, and the nostalgia of that drives going forward. So you only have to look at any card game to see that there are 1 or 2 iconic pieces in those first sets that command a higher price than the rest of it. And for me, that's going to be the Fiendar Spring Tunic as one of them. And most probably the Heart Fiendal from WTR, because it's such an iconic. And there's other cards that can also come in the conversation. You've got E-Strike from WTR. You've got Command and Conquer from Arc. You've also got the other Fabled Gems as well from the first 3 sets. So there are cards from every set that's going to have that, I remember that card so well. But there are very few that I think can match the Fiendar Spring Tunic, or even come close for me. So I think that is why that it's a piece of art, as well as a card that can be played as well. There are 2 sides to this, and you only have to look at every other card game, look at those iconic pieces and see what cards stand above the rest. And there is a massive discrepancy between the value of the top card in those first sets for every card game versus the rest of the cards in that set. So at the moment, the Rainbow Foil WTR Fiendar Spring Tunic is about £240. For me, I think that is a good price to pick one up now. If you haven't got one now, I would be looking to pick one up. LSS haven't reprinted any Rainbow Foils in the same art so far. They reprint cards, but they do it in non-foil. So already the Spring Tunic had a non-foil reprint multiple times, and those are still commanding high prices versus a lot of the other cards in the sets. So that tells you that not only is it a great card to play, it's also a card that people want. So that is my argument for why the Fiendar Spring Tunic, I think, is going to be the most iconic card in Flesh and Blood history going forward. And it's going to be the card that people look back at. And that is going to be part of the memories as to why they have such fond memories of Flesh and Blood. So if you agree or disagree, I'd love to see your comments. It's definitely a debate that can be had by players and collectors, and I really enjoy those engaging conversations. So if you are for and against the Fiendar Spring Tunic possibly being the most iconic card in Flesh and Blood, drop me a comment below. And if there's an alternative as well, something else that you think I haven't mentioned in this video that you think could be the most iconic piece, just let me know. Thanks all for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe as always, and have a great day.